So M3GAN 2.0 is a science fiction action horror comedy sequel movie to 2023's iconic M3GAN film. And this sequel is decent and is definitely watchable. I think I was just expecting a little bit more from it based upon the fact that the first one was just such a cultural phenomenon. But they have taken this sequel in an interesting new direction in terms of making it a bit of a blend of Terminator 2 and Mission Impossible. And like I said, it definitely is a fun and enjoyable movie that definitely does hook you straight from the beginning and does keep you entertained throughout. I do feel like M3GAN should have had so much more screen presence in this movie though, as they had quite a lot going on, and unfortunately some of the other storylines and more to speak some of the other characters were nowhere near as interesting. And you can immediately tell that they are trying once again to have another TikTok viral moment, for example with the singing, the dancing and the crawling, but it just doesn't feel as iconic and as well earned as it was in the first one. So they spend the first half of this movie kind of doing three things. One, recapping everything that happened in the first movie. Two, building up the reason and rationale as to why M3GAN really should be rebuilt, and also demonstrating how unstoppable Amelia is. Now when it comes to the second half of this movie, certain twists you can see coming a mile away, and I actually think they did a really good job in terms of really redeeming the M3GAN character and really adding her back onto the good team. And on that point, I really like the fact that the quote-unquote hero characters are actually pretty three-dimensional, so they're not perfect, squeaky clean type characters. Actually, they're pretty layered and flawed, which kind of puts them on the same level playing field to an extent to M3GAN, as she can very quickly and easily point to their flaws as well. And just like the first movie, I feel like Allison Williams does such a good job as Gemma, as firstly, you can see that this character is incredibly intelligent and is incredibly conflicted with whether or not she should even bring back M3GAN given the murderous rampage that she did in the first movie. And I really loved how M3GAN was able to really quickly put a mirror up against Gemma and be like, look at yourself in the mirror because you're nowhere near as perfect as you think you are. And so I really love the journey that both M3GAN and Gemma have across this movie, and I just wish that they would have focused so much more on these two characters rather than all of the other supporting ones. But that being said, I absolutely love Gemma and M3GAN in the final act of this movie. They are absolutely brilliant. Katie, once again, is really good as the heart and soul of this movie, and she immediately is able to see all of M3GAN's good side and is able to see that she is really redeemed. I just don't think she's as well layered as Gemma and M3GAN, but that's totally fine because I feel like she plays the role that she needs to in a good way. The same, unfortunately, cannot be said about Jermaine Clement, as he was just as cringe and awful as he was in Harold and the Purple Crayon, and I just feel like the actor playing Christian was pretty miscast, as this role needed to be played by somebody that could bring so much more charisma and so many more layers to this part, as this role could have and should have been absolutely brilliant. I wasn't sold at first on the idea of Amelia, as I was like, is she just going to detract from M3GAN? But I feel like as they were building her character across the first two acts of this movie, I was fully won over, especially as the momentum of this unstoppable AI. I mean, you've seen it in so many other movies, but she was pretty formidable. But then it's really abrupt how they just suddenly stop this and then pivot it into a taking over the world from an AI perspective storyline. And it's so disappointing that they've done that. Firstly, because we've seen that in so many other movies, but also because they were building up this character in such an interesting way that it would have been so much more impactful if they had actually gone down that road properly. So overall, I really enjoyed M3GAN 2.0. I think M3GAN 2 is such a great movie. It's just really wicked to be back in this universe. I'm certain we'll be getting M3GAN 3 at some point. We've already got a spin-off coming in the works. But as far as M3GAN 2 is concerned, whilst I enjoyed the movie, I definitely did feel like they could have just done so much more with the plot. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give M3GAN 2.0 a solid 6.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of M3GAN 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.